the throttle cable. So you gotta friggin' come out here and throttle her down. Okay, our conveyor chain wouldn't go forward, go backwards fine, and we couldn't lift and lower the discharge height. Everything else we got working just by basically hooking up the wires down here and here. This is for lights and some other shit. We ain't dicked with that yet. And this bunch of grounds here, that was loose. That's the first thing we did. That improved everything but two functions. None of it worked before, but we've tightened up the grounds, and then everything but two things worked. Okay, this is what we found here. They put a new valve on there thinking they had a problem, which I think they had a bad ground. And the way the valves are wired up on there, which I do the same thing, they have these two wires are for this coil, these two wires are for this coil. And so how they got it wired up is they got a ground coming here, ground coming there, power or signal wire coming here, signal wire coming here. And with doing that, there's a jumper in here, I guess. If you only have one ground, maybe you can hop your grounds. But the way Multitek wires it up, you do that, it just snaps your circuit breaker. So we got rid of that, and that solved the problem on the one valve. The other valve, we didn't have power through this little gizmo. This goes in here, basically takes your power from your junction box and connects it with your coil. Them two prongs slide on there. But this had we didn't have continuity through this pin here. So basically this little solder connection come loose, holding that in. So he had a spare valve we took off that we used, put this back together, but we're gonna fix that valve so he's got a spare, because there's no sense. That's the only thing wrong with it. It needs a little bit of solders. No sense in throwing that out. 2 cents of solder will fix that. It'll be fine. Now we got our things all fixed up here. Soldered that back together. Now we got good continuity. That was a good one. This is the one we fixed with the warped out bottom. Okay. There's a good pilot valve. Wasn't bad after all. We got to get this saw mechanism pulled off so we can take it apart and get a new shaft put in there, which is basically this bullshit here, hydraulic motor, and a saw bar. So we'll take the bar off there, motor off there, and then hopefully pull the rest out of there without, I got some hoses on hook, without killing ourselves. We'll see. Okay, we got the saw drive mechanism out, I guess you'd call it. This here would be where the saw bar goes on. This is a chain adjuster. There's where our damaged shaft is, right where the keyway goes in there. And basically, of course, these parts are worn out. But the spacer goes on there, the big sprocket goes on there. There's another spacer around here somewhere, just like the aluminum one. So you have spacer inside, spacer outside. Must keep the chain from derailing, because the chain come flying off because it only had one spacer on it. But you can see the shaft is been run loose, neglect. Might use a little 1.5 by 6 cylinder to raise and lower the saw bar. Hydraulic motor bolts right on here. Of course, where the brown football shape is where the hydraulic motor goes. And then this is a little dump valve. So when it's not, this is when it's back all the way. Where am I? Right there. That everything will work. And when the saw comes off from it, it won't let the carriage move forward, so you can't bend the saw bar in the cut. Pretty simple. This is the oiler that's been deleted, which we'll put that back on there. Because there's an oiler mounts here, works off this cam, so every time this strokes up and down, it gives it a shot of oil. We could probably even make one of them in the machine shop if we had time, but we're under a time constraint here, and money's no object, so we'll buy shit instead of making it. It's not what I would do, but not many people do what I would do. But here's the size of the sprocket. And then there's a chunk of chain. This is 404 pitch chain, and this is a 3/4. And how you do that is basically you measure pin to pin, center to center, or end to end, I guess is how I do it. Same way, center to center. It's just easier to do this way. And then this would be 404, a little bit less than 7/16. That's pretty heavy duty saw chain. Don't look none too sharp though. Pretty simple shit, man. You can build this shit with a mill and a lathe and a flame cutter. And about $100,000 worth of other shit. Pretty slick, impressive. Okay, we got this all knocked apart. Check this stuff out. Here's the saw bar. It's pretty ratty. Big old something bad happened right there. This side's not too bad. We're going to have to flip it over. See, them rails are pretty nice. That one's got an edge built up on it, so I'm scared to get cut on it. We'll grind that off, flip it over, keep running it. And that's just a little backer plate for it. Bolts to mount that, that's all good. That's the bolt to mount the whole thing. And then it's just run up and down by a little, I don't know, 1.5 by 6 hydraulic cylinder. And then this is the where the bar mounts on. Chain tightener. We'll take that all apart, clean it all out. Oh, it looks good. See how it's made. Clean out our oiler ports, make sure that's cool. There's a hard piece of plumbing that goes here for the oiler. Copper tubing's all it is. And it's got a big old nice brass bushing in there. And that aluminum spacer in there, I guess. I don't know what that's really for, but. And then it's just got this arbor shaft. Spline drive on the end for the hydraulic motor. Keyway to drive the sprocket. A nut to tighten it all up. Running on a couple ball bearings. 6206. We won't have them in stock. Snowmobile runs one close to it. And then this is just, that part's just held on the shaft here with a snap ring. And then this is the sprocket set up. That'd go on the shaft. Just to tighten this all up. Now I wouldn't have had to take this out after I got it apart, because Multitek's smart enough, you can take this shaft out with this all in there. I would have never guessed that. It's all backed up on this nut here. Bottom's out in here against the bearing. She's got that little bearing relief on there, so it doesn't rub on the bearing. And tightens right up. Tapped it out this way. Knocked the bearings out. So they outsmarted me again. But whatever. Ain't the first time I've been outsmarted. And then we had a viewer send in a whole bag of miscellaneous caps and plugs. JIC. That's like pirate's treasure right there, boys. Look at that big old bag.